Hi friends, I'm so happy you're here to go to Halloween Horror Nights with me. You are the bestest friends I've ever had, and I'm so happy to take you with me tonight. So come on, let's go play. Well, come on, silly goose, come on, let's go. Now, are you playing hide and seek? Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. You're so quick.
Let him in.
We have finally made it to Halloween Horror Nights. This is the first night. This premium screen night. It is rainy and spooky, and if you know the history of Halloween Horror Nights, it always rains on opening night and it downpours. So it's just fitting in with the theme of tradition here. So I am a little on the nervous side, I'm not gonna lie. I am coming to where you're never supposed to go alone. We'll be doing all the houses and trying to eat all the food. That is going to be our goals tonight, is food and houses. I'm going to be ranking the houses as well, and I'm going to be giving you my updated hype list of those houses once I find another dry spot to go through all that with you. And then we can compare that to what is going to be after I see all the houses and see where it landed. And also that way you guys can kind of understand the things I like and see if it fits with your motif as well. But I'm a little scared. This is gonna be fun. All right, since it is raining outside, obviously the scare actors will not be out right now. So this is probably a good thing. This will give me a little bit of time to get pepped up and ready for the scares. So I'm walking through Origins of Horror right now and just kind of getting the lay of the land. But one of the things I wanted to point out was that they had at the Universal store right at the front of the park was they had shirts saying "First in the Fog," which was really cool. I did get that, but okay. Now we're going to see all of these items unveiled. Here we go. Alright, so this is for my young viewers out there. If you are young, please make sure to check with your parents, make sure you can watch this video. There will be some mature content in the sense of some gory things and also some strobe lighting, so if either of those things affect you, I highly suggest going ahead and turning it off. But if you are into that, then continue on. Let's go and enjoy the fog. It's not just raining now, it is a monsoon out here. I'm sorry if it's really loud. Everybody is huddled wherever they can get cover from. So I did get my first snack and I got the chips here. I don't have any free hands. So we're gonna try to taste this. I did get the spicy cheddar just because I usually get vinegar or anything. So I thought I'd try something a little different. These are what's supposed to be replacing the twisted taters. So I'm not super excited, but we're gonna give it a try. Okay, so the chips, not bad, not a twisted tater. Told you Universal, not a twisted tater. So we're gonna head over. It is pouring more and more and I'm getting soaked. We're gonna try out Louis. This place might be just packed, but at least it's inside. It's pretty bad out here. All right, so there's no seats, so I'm using the trash can as my table, but we got the Mike's Eggs Benedict sandwich. We're gonna try that one first. Okay, that was a pretty good sandwich, actually. A very standard breakfast sandwich. It's got Canadian bacon on it, some cheese, some hollandaise sauce, and some eggs. It actually tastes kind of fresh, doesn't taste like a frozen sandwich, so not too bad. But now we have to try this pizza, which is why not have both spaghetti and meatballs and pizza. All right, the let's have both was so delicious. The spaghetti on it was really good, but the meatballs were even better. They were delicious meatballs. And it was really nice because the pizza was like a garlic bread crust, so it was really good. I actually liked that quite a bit. So for the same much, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5, and the why not have both, 4 out of 5. All right, so I think it's time for me to brave the rain even more. I'm already soaked, so it's just going to be okay. But I think it's time to go into a house. But before that, I have to go over my hype list. So we're going to go over my hype list here, just so we all know what it is. Before I go into any houses, I'm kind of scared. I'm really scared. Okay, so coming in at number 10, I have Brave of Flesh. Number 9, I have Hatchet and Chains. At number 8, I have Terrifier. 7, Jason. 6, Galgan. Number 5, El Artista. Number 4, Five Nights at Freddy's. Number 3, Dolls. Number 2, Fallout. And number 1, WWE The Wyatt Six. I have now officially seen at least one of all of the movies for all of the houses, so I now know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, what Terrifier is, and that's why I can tell you I know I'm not going to like that house. So those are my hype lists for now, but we're about to walk in to our first house. It's a 20-minute wait, and it is Jason.
It's so bad. It's so bad, yeah.
Oh my Lanta. I screamed so much. I am almost out of breath with how much I was screaming. And okay, we're gonna go do my review. I don't want to give too much away. All right, so the only thing I will give away, because I don't want to give too much away, I don't want to have too many spoilers. So I would say the scariest two things, because I can't decide which one is scarier than the other. There is a section where you're going through and there's just like these curtains of like the fake bushes like you would have in like camouflage on either side of you. And there are like 100 Jasons that come out. I know I'm exaggerating, but I'm not exaggerating that much. And then there was parts where they would come out at you with their knives and swords and other pitchforks. And then there would be sometimes they have the chopper, and one would come out from the front and the other one would snap at your legs. Oh, so you go, ah, ah. Whew, okay. Whew. That one was a doozy. All right, now, so for my ranking, so this is how I'm gonna rank the houses tonight. I'm gonna rank them on story, sets, scare, and fun. So it's not just about the scares and it's not just about the gore, but it's also the full totality of the houses. So for Jason, for story, I gave it a 6. So there wasn't necessarily a story that went through the house itself, but it did pick on different pieces of the Jason universe. I did pick out several of the pieces from the very first Jason from the 80s. Heads up, the mother is in the house. Little spoiler, small spoiler there. So I gave it a 6 for story. For set, I gave it an 8. The setting in there was amazing. Like, you went through so many different pieces and different parts of the story that it was just really put together. You really did feel that you were at the camp. There was the section with the showers too. It was all set up great. The forest parts were very detailed, and you did look like you were walking through some of the sets in the movies. So that was really, really cool. So I would give this a 10 out of 10 for a scare. However, I don't want to do that since it's the first house of the night, and because I'm a little scaredy cat, it may not be that scary. I need to see the other houses. So I'm going to give it an 8 for now so that other houses have the potential to go over, but an 8, and it could go higher. I might change that later. And last of all, for fun factor, I gave that as well an 8. Between the scares, the sets, and the story all together, I think it was a really good fun house. I screamed a lot. Nobody else did. We just saw Terrifier for the first time. Mark the Clown is walking around. to scare some little kids. That was quite funny, actually. Ooh, tasty. Yeah. Right, so we're actually gonna head towards Cricket Lane. Like I said, I'm gonna do another video that has all of the scare zones in detail, but I've gotta see these pumpkins. Hello? Oh! You were terrifying. Oh, okay, there's nothing there. Oh, hi.
Looks like you swallowed a canary. Don't you be shy. Oh, come on up here. See for yourself. Well, I'm not the mean old lady you children seem to think I am. Don't you be a scaredy cat. Yes. Well, I just have my little home. All my furry babies all around. Oh, you can see my beautiful forest and the crooked little lane. You children should have more respect.
Oh my!
What's Run! Come and get it, my little babies. One for you, and one for you, and one for you.
Okay, that was fun. I wish I would have had the camera turned back on me because oh, it was great. All right, we're gonna actually stop in here and grab some more food. It's 9 o'clock. Means we have 5 hours left. All right. All right, so from Feline Treats, I got the Flamin' Hot Cheetos Ramen. Yikes. All right, so I'm gonna try to do this without spilling it on me. It was spicy. That ramen was so good. It was definitely spicy, a little bit on the salty side, but it's ramen, so you would expect it to be. Yeah, I would give that 4 out of 5, definitely, if you like spicy food, but you can definitely taste the spice. It's got a little bit of that chemical spice, as well as like jalapeno pepper spice. So good, so good. But now, We have the walking taco. It's okay. I love the walking taco. This is one of my favorite things that's like a staple. There's not a lot of toppings in here. It's mostly just chips. The chips are flavored and that's great, but there's not a lot of meat, not a lot of toppings. And actually, I think I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. That's surprising. We're headed out to our next house. We got to get some more houses done. I've gotten one done and it's after 9 o'clock, but here we go. All right, our next house we're going to go to is actually going to be Hatchet and Chains. We're going to head into another house right after this, so I want to go ahead and give my review of Hatchet and Chains now. For Hatchet and Chains, here is my review. So for the storyline, I gave it a 7. So it gets a 7 because I kind of know the story, because I watched other videos about what the story actually is, and the conjuring up of the lava demons by a person because they don't want the railroad to be built through their town. And so she conjures up the lava demons, and then Hatchet and Chains, who are bounty hunters, are coming to capture all of the lava demons. And they're called Hatchet and Chains because one uses chains to capture them, one uses hatchets. So the story is original and it's there. I don't think it's like 10 level, but it's definitely above 5. Like it's above average on storytelling. So that's why it gets a 7. Regarding the sets, you did feel like you were in an old town Western. One of my favorite things about the sets was there was one section where you go through and you're outside and you see the train going through, and it's really just a cool, awesome thing to see. And there's a huge giant puppet in there somewhere. Yeah, so there's some really cool stuff. So I thought the sets were really good, so I gave it a 7. For scares, I also gave it a 7 because there were some really good ones. There was this one where a scare actor jumped out right in front of me with it looked like a knitting needle, but it was covered in blood and it was a lot bigger and was in my face and like got in my way. Like I couldn't go. I had to stay there and let him finish his show. Like it was... Whew, I screamed bloody murder. And then there's some really just cool aspects of the scares that they had in there as well. One of the scares that I really liked, which wasn't like really scary, but it was more of just really cool. There was this lava demon that was in the fireplace and Chains captured it, and the scare actor was like hanging, like looked like it was cool. You're just gonna have to see it. I don't want to spoil too much of it. So overall fun, I gave this one a 7. But now, the exit to this one is right by Dolls, so we're going to go in Dolls now. All right, so we just finished up with Dolls and another good one. We haven't had a bad house yet tonight. I would say that I was a little disappointed in it only because I had it so high up on my hype list, and I don't think it necessarily got up that high. However, I still think it's in the top houses probably. Now the story, it's like a mixture between Finding Nemo, the girl that would like do this with the fish and like kill them, as well as, you know, Sid from Toy Story. So like you mush those together and then you throw horror over top of it is kind of the story. So you have like mutilated toys and dolls and just like these toys that are being tortured by this young girl. So the story there is really good. However, it's not that original. So that's why I got a 7 versus an 8. I was going back and forth between that. But again, it's a good story. It's just, it's been done before. However, for the sets, I give this one an 8, definitely. This one was really cool. You're going through a dollhouse. You're the size of a toy. There's huge electrical outlets on the sides of you. Everything is oversized. The theming of all the costumes and the scare actors was crazy inventive and really believable. There is one room that I think was the scariest, and I don't know how much I want to give away because I don't want to spoil anything for you, but the one with the oven, I'll just say that it was something. It was scary. Couldn't see where you're going, couldn't tell what was going on, but it was so much fun. For scares, I'm going to give this one a 6. However, that is subject to change if I'm able to get into this house for a second time tonight, because I was at the back of the group. And by the way, shout out to Jacob, and oh my gosh, I just walked away from him like 5 minutes ago. Dasha, I'm so sorry if I got it wrong. So sorry. You guys were so sweet. They let me tag along in their group, so I was the third one in there. So Jacob led the way and took all the scares for us. So I didn't get a lot of the scares, so that's why I'm going to say 6 with subject to change based upon a second viewing. So I might just give it a 7 at the end of the day if I don't get back in there, because there were a couple where he got really scared. Now, totality of fun, I'm going to definitely give this one an 8. This was so much fun. Just seeing all the toys and the creativity that Universal did in this house. This is why I love original houses so much, and don't sleep on them, because what Universal creates is so iconic sometimes. And one of the things I love about it is you walk in, you don't know the story, you don't know what to expect. It's brand new to you, brand new to your eyes, and being able to see everything. I do know that there's a couple of those push buttons that you can do throughout the house, from somebody else told me where they were. However, I was too busy looking out for the scare actors. I didn't get to do that, but just keep an eye out for that. There's 2 red buttons in there that you can activate, and then there's also a blue button that you can activate. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to try to do that again if I get in there again tonight, but so far all the houses are really great. There's so much more to do. It's crazy. Okay, bye.
In the morning, said she gon' read my fortune. Pass me a cup and she put me on point.
Hi! Oh, okay.
Watch out!
You're following me. Oh, you're still following me.
Please, they got it in my eye.
Alright, so a bit of a change of plans because the houses, the wait times were a little long, so I decided to come over to the front of the park because all the houses over here were very small, but there was also no line for the food at Vault 33 for Fallout. So I'm going to go ahead and try these. The first one I got is the fried pickles inside of a buffalo chicken. It's just a really, really good fried pickle. The buffalo dip does definitely give it more of a spice, but the pickle is just really good. It's also very hot, very fresh tasting. Very hot. Okay, now we're going to try these clam tots. So there's Spam on top of it. I'm not a huge fan of Spam, but I'm going to give it a shot. You never know. So the tots are more like a cheesy hash from like a breakfast meal. So they're okay. There's not a ton of flavor to them, but they're okay. The Spam, however, nope. But if you like Spam, you'll probably like this dish. I don't like Spam, and I was giving a shot for you guys, but it's a pass for me. The pickles get a 4 out of 5. The Spam gets a 2 out of 5. Let's keep going. All right, so to follow my own tips of staying hydrated, I got myself the Quantum mocktail as well from Fallout. The Radaway bags are actually not included with Premium Scream because they come in a souvenir bag. I think if I pay $400 for a ticket, I think you can deal with the $2 extra for the souvenir bag. But that is just my opinion. Maybe I'm just being dehydrated. It's good. 4 out of 5.
Let's get to work. I'm afraid of the
We made some adjustments, overall strength, speed.
I won't say food-wise. The only thing I would say the meat one. Really nice or something.
All right, you guys, so I just got done with El Artista, and I am booking it to my last 2 houses. You might be thinking, what happened to the rest of your houses reviews? Don't worry, I did all 4 of them on the soundstage, back to back. Wasn't really anywhere to record anything back there, but everything was taking so long. The lines were so long. So long for what I expected for tonight, not for HHN. But I'll go over those at the end of the night. But for El Artista, since I just came out of there, that one was so beautiful. It was just absolutely gorgeous. It looked like a mansion, and there was so many different things in there. There's flying pieces. I don't want to give too much away, but there's flying pieces. You get to see the artist himself and some other unworldly creatures as well. So, all right, so we're gonna go over my rankings for this. So for story, I gave it a 9 because this is, again, the original houses, they really have to tell you a story throughout the entire house because you don't have anything to base any of the story that is going on something else. So they have to be able to present it to you in a way that is just understandable and more detailed. So I definitely give this one a 9. I'm also going to link the video that Universal put out themselves on that house because it makes you appreciate it much more. For the set, that's going to be a 10. The sets were so obnoxiously good, like beautiful stained glass, beautiful all gardens. There's one part where you walk through this garden and it smells like these beautiful flowers. It's gorgeous. Everything they did in there was just top notch. It deserves the 10. So good. So now for scares. I gave it a 7 because there was a lot of parts where there wasn't a lot of like jump scares. It could have just been my run through. And that's fine because everything else was perfect. There was one that got me really good, and that was the one part where the artist comes out. And again, they're getting in your face this year, which is good. Like, I'm not complaining. And like, I had to step back. It was great. But comparative to the other houses, there was no like area that was just like terrifying to go through. So that's why I gave it a 7 on there. And for all around fun, I gave it an 8 because it was beautiful, it was scary, it had a great story. It was really fun. It was definitely beautiful, and you know, the overall story, everything kind of clicked together. So I think an 8 is a good and proper thing for fun. But now we're heading over to do the last 2 houses, Galkin and Fallout. All right, you guys, I was actually able to finish every single one of the houses tonight, and we're gonna get into all the rankings and the additional houses that I did get to go to that I have not reviewed for you yet. But I was starving because I have not eaten since the last time you saw me eat something. and I only ate a couple bites of those items. So I stopped at the Jason booth, which is the Crystal Lake, and they have the grilled corn with either flaming hot Cheetos or with your normal like Mexican style street corn. They also have the sausage that we're gonna try, and then I also got the mocktail. Why not? I was hungry. I wanted to eat as much as possible, but we also only have 5 minutes to eat it, so we're gonna make a quick review of this food. First up, the mocktail. It's not that it tastes bad. It's just, it doesn't taste good. It's a lot of chocolate syrup, and I think the thing that's really giving me the icks is it smells really bad. It smells like dirty water. Yeah, we're not gonna be drinking that, but let's get into some of this other stuff here. I'm gonna try to figure out a way to eat all of this quickly. All right, we're just gonna do it with our fingers here because it's on a little stick. That's really good. So the sausage itself has a nice kick to it and nice spice. The barbecue sauce adds a little bit of sweetness without being too much. It's just a little bit tangy. And there's a nice crisp on this sausage too. And it's really hot and tasty. Last but not least, we're gonna try this corn. Now I did get the flamin' hot Cheeto one because why not when you can? This is gonna be so messy. This is really good. The first couple of bites, I couldn't really taste the flamin' hot Cheeto part of it. Like I could taste the crunch of it, but not the flavor. But after 2 bites, that spice, it comes out. All right, so for the mocktail, we're gonna give that one a huge 1 out of 5 on that one. I definitely will not be getting that one again. And because the mocktail wasn't that great, probably won't be trying the regular cocktail that they have either. That being said, the sausage gets a 4 out of 5. Nice, spice, crispy, hot, delicious. And the corn also gets a 4 out of 5. So no 5s out of 5s today in sense of food, but we didn't get to eat as much as I thought we were going to. The lines for food and the houses were just so much longer than I was expecting them to be today. But we've got to finish up because we've got to get out of the park because it is now 2 o'clock. All right, guys, so before we head out of the park, I did want to review some of the houses that I did get to see. So the first one we're going to talk about is Fallout. Fallout was on one of my top height lists. It was my number 2, and it did not live up to that number 2. Was it good? Yes, it was good, but it was not a number 2 level at all. So for story, I gave it a 7 because it was kind of all over the place, which they did explain that was going to be the case, that each room is kind of its own. When they said they were going to be having the wedding scene, I was kind of expecting to see the wedding scene. Now, there were a couple of parts from it, but not like anything grand. Like I felt like it was missing. It had like a third of the amount of scare actors in it as like Jason did. And Jason's about 1 person. So it was kind of disappointing on that aspect. So for the story, I only gave it a 7. For the sets, I also gave it a 7 as well because some of them were really good. I loved the vault ones. However, it would have been nice for them to be a little bit more in the detail and a little bit lighter in those to make them feel like you're actually in the vault. And then for the scares, I also gave it a 7. There were some decent scares in there, but it seemed a little off. And so that was probably my run through. At the very beginning, I was by myself. There was nobody in front of me, nobody behind me. So I was getting some decent scares. But overall, for fun for the house, I definitely gave it an 8. Why? Because I love the show. So being able to see something that I love watching in person was really cool. All right, so the last one that we're going to review here is going to be Galkin. So Galkin is a Vikings monster, very Nordic style house, and you could definitely tell from the time you got in there. The sets were really great. There was some really, really good scares. my favorite scare was probably one that you're going around multiple corners and the same scare actor can scare you in 3 different ones. Well, because it was the end of the night and they were able to stagger it like how we all expected it to be staggered this time, I was scared by him each of the 3 times he could, because he just went from one to the next because I was screaming like a little girl so much. So that was my favorite scare out of the whole thing. It was a little bit on the gory side. There were some parts with open bodies and everything, but it was really great overall. So what are my rankings for this, for the last one? So for story, I gave Galkin a 7. So I love everything Viking and Nordic. However, I wasn't quite sure what the story was here. Now they haven't come out with a video for this one yet by Universal kind of explaining the story, so there wasn't a lot of detail to go off of on this one. For sets, scare, and fun, I gave it all an 8 on each one. Like I said, all of the sets were really good. The scare actors were amazing. There were some really good scares in there. So overall, it was a fun house to have. But we're gonna start making our way out of here so we don't get in trouble, and we're gonna go over the last 4 that I have not given you the review of, the ones that were back on the sound stages, in just a little bit. All right, now that we're out of the park, I wanted to go over the 4 houses that we had in the sound stages. So over there, again, we had Terrifier, Five Nights at Freddy's, WWE, and Grave of Flesh. So we're gonna start with the only original, which is Grave of Flesh. And now this one is the one where you go in and you're actually like going to your funeral, you're getting buried into the grave. You are getting sunk down and pulled down by these flesh-eating monsters that are trying to eat your body. And you're going through, there's worms and roots and wetness. There was wetness on this one. And there were plenty of places where it was a little bit more of that claustrophobic area where it gets a little bit more shallower of a hallway and walkway to get through. So that added to some of the jump scares that they were able to have there. The set was great. I liked all the sets this year. I gave it 7s across the entire board, 7s for scares. There were a couple good scare areas. However, it was very noticeable that people were standing there, that you knew it was coming. And I still get scared when that happens, but not as much in this house. It gets a 7 for story because it's an original story. Again, these original houses have some great stories that they really have to tell and explain through these houses. And so I thought the story that they did was pretty good. Didn't give it an 8 on the story simply because I watched the video that they put out just recently on that house to be able to know what was going on. And some of the pieces that were in that story were not really represented in the house itself. So I think they needed to add a little bit more detail. But it could also have been just me going through it for the very first time. So we'll see if that changes the next time I go through it. All right, so now on to the IPs that were back there. We'll do this real quickly. So Five Nights at Freddy's, that got a 7 for story. Why? Because it was telling the story of Five Nights at Freddy's. It did a pretty good job of doing that. But what really made this house was the animatronics. So for me, I gave a 9 for sets because you walked in and you saw those animatronics, plus you saw Freddy Fazbear's, and it was just, it felt like you were in the movie. You actually walked through the security area at certain parts too, and you walked back through like the different areas of where the guys got killed in the movie. The scare factor on this though, I gave a 6. There wasn't a lot of jump scares and there wasn't anything that was unpredictable that was in there. There was a lot of it that was a little bit more dead and it was more like animatronics moving up, but they weren't really doing much. So for that one, that's why it got a 6 on that. But the overall feeling of the house was definitely an 8 because it was fun and it was just like the movie, and I gave it an 8. All right, so now on to Terrifier. So Terrifier, as you know, was my least anticipated IP house, mainly because I think the movies are very gory and I'm not super a fan of those. And so I wasn't super excited to go through this and see it and walk through it. And I heard that there was going to be poop smells and bleach smells, and I'm not here for the smells. It's not my thing. Now, there was the section, the bathroom section, where it does smell like that. At least it wasn't too bad. Like, I think the Exorcist house was way worse than this one. So I think that was toned down a bit. I did take the wet path on this one, and I did get wet, but not anywhere close to what some of the people had earlier in the day. I know they are having issues with that area getting flooded, and so they have to either shut down the house or they have to like really turn down the waterworks and the wet area. So for story, I gave it a 7. So it did go through all the different pieces of the different Terrifiers. Now, I haven't seen the third one, but I've seen the other one. So it did pick up a lot of the different scenes that we know of that are iconic, that were going through it. It didn't really like flow together, but that's okay. But that's why I got a 7, because it wasn't a continuous story. It was just shot, go, but that's why it's getting a 7. It's still a really good score. So I think my lowest score is a 6. So maybe I'm being a little too nice or biased. I don't know. For story, it got a 7. However, for sets, scare, and for fun, I gave it an 8, which is way more than I was expecting. So the sets on this were really, really good. I mean, they had all the different scenes that are iconic to Terrifier and Art the Clown, all the specific kills that were there, the gross ones too, some of the really gross ones. However, I was happy to see that some of the really gross ones were just like really quick. Go around the corner. I think my favorite part of it was the Christmas scene, and you're going through this very narrow pathway with tinsel and lights on the side, and stuff happens in there. So I think that was my favorite room. And then right before you pick wet or dry room 2, Art the Clown is up there and he's trying to convince you to go through the wet side. That was kind of fun as well. There were definitely a lot of different jump scares that were in there. I honestly did not find it scarier than Jason. So that's why I had to go back and change my numbers for Jason, and I put Jason at number 9 because it was the first house I went through. So I gave it an 8 to give room for other people, but I think that was the scariest house in my personal opinion. Last but not least, we have the WWE house. This was my most anticipated house of the whole entire Halloween Horror Nights, and I'll just make it simple and sweet. I gave it 9s across the entire board. I loved seeing the story of the Fiend and of the Wyatt Six come to life right before my very eyes. There was 2 scenes that were my favorite. I would say my favorite was the Firefly Funhouse, because your girl Alexa Bliss made an appearance there too. And so that was kind of cool because nobody knew who I was all night. Nobody knew I was dressed up as Alexa Bliss. I'm going to put my picture right here of the full outfit, and then I'm going to put a picture of Alexa Bliss over here. Pretty close, right? There were several places where the scares were great. There was one section where you had 2 of them on each side of you, and it was right after you go through an area there that you can't see past. So all of a sudden you go through these tarps, and boom, their faces are right there. They also had plenty of scare actors that were doing the in-your-face kind of thing, like pushing you back, which makes it scary and makes it way more fun. So there were several times that happened to me, and it was great. It was so great. And then the very last scene, he makes an appearance. It's great. So I loved it. 9s across the whole entire thing. Okay, so now I'm just going to go give you a rapid thing of all of their numbers added up together and where they actually landed. Coming in at 10 and 9, tied, is going to be Grave of Flesh and Hatchet and Chains. Coming in at number 8 is going to be Fallout. Tied for 6 and 7 is going to be Dolls and Five Nights at Freddy's. Tied for 4 and 5 is going to be Galkin Monsters and Jason. Number 3 is going to be Terrifier. And tied for 1st and 2nd place is going to be El Artista and WWE. So over here is my hype numbers from beforehand. This is what it ended up being. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But until next time, I am Shannon with One Spark of Magic, and I am going home and getting some sleep. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the fog. Toodaloo.